everyone, welcome back to Scrapping Scotland. You join me for another teardown video, and this week we are going to tear down this Samsung laptop. Quite a thick old laptop, as you can see, not like the kind of newer, thinner ones. This actual model is the Samsung RV510. Two parts to the teardown. Obviously the top part is the screen. As you can see on the screen here, I've taken off the little covers of the screws so we can just get in and take those screws apart. And then we've got the main kind of body of it as well. To take that apart, obviously we've got the screws underneath. First things first is we want to remove the battery. Then we can start removing some of the other compartments. There's a little cover here and a little cover here. We've got our disk drive here and we've got our battery here. Okay, so batteries are usually quite easy. Couple of clips and then we can slide it out. Now with the batteries, I actually don't do anything with these batteries other than put them straight in the recycling. But it should be said that you can actually get a little bit of gold plate out of the batteries as well, the connectors. Okay, if you see this side, these connectors here are gold plated, and the slots on the battery themselves have gold plating as well. So there's a little bit of gold plating to be had within the battery. To take this apart, we're going to use our little handy dandy Chardon precision screwdriver set. It's got all the little parts to take apart the little screws. We've got our needle nose pliers if we need them. We've got our side cutters, and we've got a pair of standard pliers. Okay, so we'll get into it. First things first, we're going to take apart the little cover pieces. So a couple of screws, and as always we'll speed the unscrewing up. Okay, so that's all the screws out the bottom. Lots of screws, but no problem screws, so we'll take that as a bonus and we'll take that as a win. Now we want to get the covers off, okay? So this cover covers the hard drive. Here's our hard drive. A little bit of shred. And there's a hard drive. So this hard drive is 500GB Hitachi SATA 500GB hard drive. Gold pins at the top. Okay, but scrapping hard drives is for another video. The next cover we've got on here will be for the memory. Our little RAM sticks. So as we can see, we've got a RAM stick here and a RAM stick here. First little mini RAM stick. And our second one. And these are, should tell you the RAM on them. So they're 1 gigabyte. This one's 1 gigabyte. This one says 2 gigabyte. Okay, I'm not sure if we can see that in the camera. That one's got 2 gigabyte on it. Actually, is that the right one? That was the 1 gigabyte one. There's the other one. My eyesight isn't the best. I'm not sure if that says 2 or 3, but hopefully you're able to see that on the camera. So there's our first 2 pieces from this laptop without really even getting into it. We've got our little RAM sticks and our hard drive. We've then got our plastic waste. What I do with the plastic as well, guys, is we check the screw holes, because a lot of the screw holes on these laptops actually have little pieces of brass in them. The screw goes into the little brass receiver. Not on these 2 pieces. Okay, so we can just put them aside for the bin. Now we can take out the disk drive. So let's move this back a bit so we can see. Disk drive slots right out. Okay, I do have a big tote, a big box in the shed of disk drives. I'll do them later again, so we'll just put them up with our other goodies at the moment. And then we'll try and get this bottom piece of plastic off. There is a couple of screws in this piece here that we have to take out. Only 2. Open it up. And now we'll try and separate this plastic piece at the bottom. Get a screwdriver in. And we can just pull it apart. Okay, so this piece contains our keyboard. Now, one thing about the keyboard is we do keep the keyboards as well, because the little plate inside the keyboard, the little plastic piece, actually does contain silver. So let's just try and break this out. It may actually be a screw. Let's have a look. Can't see any screws, so hopefully we can just break it off. Shouldn't be too hard. Okay, top piece of plastic. Said it shouldn't be too hard, but it's also not proven to be too easy. Okay. Alright, so again, we have a lot of these sitting in the shed and we need to process them a little bit, take the plastic off. There is a little card underneath these, as I say, and it is all plated in silver, so I do keep them, I do save them up. Not sure what I'm going to do with them because I have no way of actually doing silver recovery, but maybe something that I stick online on eBay and sell to someone else who's capable of doing that. So again, put that to the side. Now, as I said, the little receivers, so if I put my finger at that one there, you can see that that little receiver in there is brass. And a really easy way to get them out is to take an old bit. Now, I wouldn't do this from my current set that I have. but I'll show you an example. So if we have a little bit like that, you can literally just put that in the hole and you can wedge it to one side and it'll just pull that piece right out. Okay, when you're doing it with these, they can break, so what I would say is don't use your nice new set if you've got an old set. I actually have an old broken one that I use just to wedge it out. Okay, but there is several of these in here, and again, yes, they're very small pieces of brass, but everything small adds up to something big. Okay, so we'll keep that aside. Don't just throw that in the plastic waste. We will take these little brass bevels out of there. Now we see our main board. Doesn't look too interesting from that side, but obviously hoping that the interesting stuff is on the underside. Okay, so now we're going to have another series of screws to extract here. So let's get to that. Okay, so we've got the board out. As you can see, the board's looking a little bit more interesting. So we do have a copper heatsink here. Nice little IC chip here. And we have a nice chip underneath here. We've also got a little mini card in here. I think that's like an audio card. Still got a screw in it. But as you can see, that does have little gold fingers as well. So we'll stick that with our memory card. Okay. Next off, we'll get off the heat sinks, the fan, and have a look at the chip. But as always, we've got some screws to take apart first. Okay, so here's a copper piece attached to a piece of aluminium and then attached to the fan, and the fan is also, the fins are aluminium, but there's a little piece of copper that runs right through it. Okay, so we'll put that to one side at the moment and we'll come back to this one. The next thing we want to see is our chip. We need a little flathead screwdriver to get that chip out. As you can see, it's a nice pinned chip. The chip itself an Intel chip, 86, Intel 86 it looks like. So let's see if you can see that. Okay, there's our chip. As I say, nice little gold pins on that one. It's not a huge chip, it's not one of the biggest ones I've seen obviously, quite a small one. But a nice little chip all the same. Now what else have we got on this board? So we've got another nice chip here. We've got a little IC chip as I said over here. We've got a couple of little crystal oscillators. So this is a crystal oscillator. There's another one over here. Okay, they do contain a little bit of silver, but not a lot. There's a little tiny bit of silver in there. And then other pieces, so there is gold within these connectors, receivers, that obviously our RAM were sitting inside, but again not a lot, there's not a huge amount, and actually it's probably just the ends of these that are gold plated and not the whole pin that's inside. Couple of little pieces here that contain copper, another one here, another one here and here, they all contain copper. Another one over here, tiny little chip here, and really that's it guys. There's not a lot, there's not too much on this board. On the other side there is a couple of little chips, tiny ones, a couple of little tactical switches which also contain silver, and then we have our port receivers, so a couple of audio ones, a USB one, that'll be a port for your Ethernet cable, and then you've got your audio your video port here as well. Okay, so a few things there. We need to take the battery out, can't leave the battery in there when if you're sending it just as boards. So that's about it. That, taking the battery off, we'll probably just go into boards as it is. May take these chips off and add them with the other pile of chips that I've got, but yeah, it depends really. And then as I said at the start, when you've got the battery connector, these little pins on the battery connector, they are gold plated, as you can see there. So again, if you collect the gold pins to do any gold recovery, then it's worthwhile taking them off as well. Okay, so we'll put our board to one side as well. We'll quickly come back to our piece of copper. Just take off the little sound dampeners. And then there's little circlips keeping these screws in here. Best way to take them off is you just push the screw down. So if we push that screw down like that, then the circlip pushes up, and then we can just take that off. Okay, so that comes off, turn it upside down, and the screw comes out. Okay, so we'll do that with all four. Okay, we'll separate the copper. So that sets out our copper from an aluminium. And then to get the top of this fan off so we can get to the other piece, we've got a couple of little screws to take out here as well. For that, we'll change to a smaller Phillips. Okay, so there's a little fan motor in there, will contain a little bit of copper as well. Just taking this little bit of fabric tape off, just to make sure there's no other screws. Separate the fan cover. And then we've got our copper piece left that is encased in these little aluminium fins. So some people will just cut this off and put these in aluminium copper radiators, which you can do. I will try and get it out. Most scrappers would say, I wouldn't waste my time doing that, and absolutely. If your time is indeed money, then I would agree. Probably not. But mine isn't. And being a hobby scrapper, I can spend a little bit of time just taking this stuff apart. It doesn't take too long. It really can depend as well on the type that you get here. This one's really easy because if you can see at the back of this here, there is a little slot, and you can just really get your side cutters into that slot and peel it back, and it is actually quite easy to peel this back and get to the copper. We're sacrificing a little bit of aluminium here, but that's alright, because there's almost no weight in this, and the copper is what we're after anyway. A lot of people will scrap or not scrap laptops, and you can actually sell them as completed laptops or partials. I don't have an avenue to sell them in that way, so I do take them apart. Okay, so we'll just clean this up a little bit. Again, not a lot of effort, a little bit of effort, but not a lot. Okay, and then we need to try and separate this now from these bottom fins. Okay, could be easy, might be difficult. Let's have a look. Easy so far. And there we go. Okay, so this is all copper. That can go straight in our copper pile. Okay, a little bit of copper piping and your little solid piece of copper here. Okay, but all copper. Okay, so there's our first piece there. We've got a little piece of aluminium here, so we'll just take this sticker off it. And again, our little circlips we'll just remove from our screws. And there's a little clean piece of aluminium. Okay. That's a piece of aluminium as well. Then we've got our little aluminium fins. The ones like this will go in the aluminium pile. The rest of that we'll just clean up. Stick that in our aluminium pile as well. Okay, we'll create a nice neat little pile there. And then all the screws and the circlips go into our shred pile, along with this piece. Alrighty, a couple more circlips there just to put in. Create a little space for us here. Alright, so now we can turn our attention back to this piece. Now, again, not a lot in here. When I'm looking at it, I can see that none of the holes in this piece actually have any brass pieces in it. So I'm not too concerned. There is actually a couple, but not a lot. So I'm not too concerned around that at the moment. What we want to do is we want to now just separate the screen from this piece. Okay. There's our screen. Some insulated wire, speaker cable. We've got a couple of pieces of metal. Going to pull off again, just into the shred. Plastic waste. Little piece of metal this side into our shred, and there is a couple of little pieces that we'll just put that aside at the moment so we can get the brass out of that later. Our cable here, sometimes with these cables the little ends are gold plated. I think these still are gold plating, but actually it's not very clear on this one. See if we can get any from any of the other sides. No. Okay, so we'll just put all this aside at the moment to just recover the wire. Actually, you can see that one is gold plated. Yep. So that's the little connector that connected to our little piece that we took off that I said has the gold fins. So this piece, yeah, the little plug sockets are at the top here. Yeah, one here and one this side. And that's what plugs into that, and that's gold plated. Okay. For the screen, we're just going to start taking this apart, so we'll get the screws out of this one. That's all our screws out, so we should just be able to lift this plastic surround out now. Like so. That reveals the inner workings. Hopefully we can just pull this out now. Okay, not pull it out right away because we've got a couple of screws here that keep in the hinges. So we'll get them out. Okay, there's our first hinge. Again, just shred steel. Our second hinge. There's our screen. With this piece, this is aluminium, but it's got like a plastic coating on it, and I just actually put that straight into the waste. Don't really do anything with that. So we'll extract our cables. Okay, more insulated wire. And then again, as noted with the other pieces, you can see here a little piece of brass. We've got another one along here, little piece of brass there. Yeah, so not a lot, but actually start peeling back little areas like this with the screws goes in. You can see there's more little kind of brass pieces in here, so again, worth extracting all of them from your plastic before you throw that in your plastic waste. So finally we've got our screen. With the screen, sometimes they're really small screws, so you do need your specialist screwdriver. We've got ones on the side here, the screws we need to take off. A little steel side plate then falls off. We'll do the same on the other side. Second little steel side plate. And then we've got our screen on its own now. So we've got little bits of metal on the outside, we've got a little metal screen here, and then we've got our little TV board, a little monitor board that sits under here. Okay. So this is our little monitor board. As you can see, lots of nice gold flashing on that. This one's nice actually, it's got a nice couple of pieces of gold on that as well. Okay, do have some nice MLCCs on this as well. If you can see these little rectangular items, they're called MLCCs, monolithic capacitors. Okay, and they can contain some silver and palladium. It's more the old ones, more the modern ones nowadays don't have so much of them in there, but you may still get some silver out of them, and they are worth recovering if you do silver recovery and if you're capable of doing palladium recovery. We've got a little gold plated piece here. It's a nice little bit of gold plating, and yeah, that's about it for that. Again, monolithic capacitors, gold flashing, great if you're doing gold recovery, and there will be some very small gold pins inside here, and inside this one as well. Okay, so there's a little board. Okay, lots of gold on them, so they are high grade boards. Okay, this again is insulated wire inside these. Not sure what you guys do if you put that in the insulated wire as it is, if you try and take the wire out of this kind of fabric ribbon. But what I would say is the ends again are gold. So the end of this one, there's gold pins in there. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. And again on this one, just like on the board, the opposite side of it, the male part of the plug, is indeed gold plated as well. Excuse me. Okay, we'll take our last little ribbon off. Again, that ribbon has some gold flashing. If you can see it well in that light or not. Some gold flashing to that. Sometimes they are silver, sometimes they are gold. If it's gold, then it is gold plate. If it's silver, then it's just tin. So don't keep them and recover silver. If they're silver, it's not silver, it's tin. Okay, but that is gold, so it is gold plating. Couple of tiny little screws on either side of this. We will need a smaller drill piece, screwdriver piece. And let's get them off. And for these tiny screws, and I'll show you kind of how tiny it is. So very small little screw in there. You see, comparing it to my finger, it is really small. And it's why one of these little screwdriver sets really is essential if you are scrapping electronics, or e-scrapping, e-waste, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Now this is what contains the LED light source. So we'll take this off. These are usually aluminium as well. This one is, I can tell. You need to be a little bit careful with them because they can be, you know, still metal, still sharp. Inside here we'll have a little LED strip. We'll just peel that back. And that reveals our little LED strip, as you can see, all the way along the inside of this. Now, if you are taking this to a scrapyard, you do need to clean this up. Okay, scrapyards do not like LED strips on the aluminium. You want it nice and clean. So nice and easily removed, as you can see. Okay, we'll take this other little plastic strip off as well. If we can work it off, just try and get the nail in and peel it off just like a sticker, as that's essentially what it is. Was going well, but never went all the way, unfortunately. Okay, and there you go, that's that now, nice and clean. We've got a little piece of black tape on the other side. And there you go, that's that nice and clean now. Another little piece of aluminium. We'll fold that up just to reduce the size. Oh, there's another little bit of tape on the back there, we'll get that off. Okay, fold that in a couple of times, just reduce the size. Stick that with an aluminium file. And then we can take the outside of the screen, this kind of metal plate, Okay, there's a metal. That is just shred steel. But it's metal and we don't allow metal to go to landfill, so we just break that up a little bit, make it a little bit smaller. These are just very small welds on the corners. As you can see, it's just a small weld, so it's easy just to break. Just pull it apart and reduce the size. There's our shred steel. And then we have the screen. There is no gold flashing on this part, it's all kind of left on the board itself. And there's nothing else here that has any value. Just need to be careful, make sure you're disposing of these things properly. There is chemicals in these and you don't want to just throw it in your bin, so just make sure you are disposing of these things correctly. The rest of it is plastic waste, okay? So we'll put that to the side. Okay, so what did we get? Again, let's just move out the crap. Now what I would say, guys, is I'm inside scrapping today. I'm in the house scrapping, not out in the shed, so I don't actually have my scales with me. But that's not going to stop us doing a scrapping video and doing a teardown video. So I just want to do a little bit of a recap in terms of what we have. Okay, so we have our high grade board here. Okay, lots of nice gold flashing on that, and that is essentially our TV board, as we call them, or our monitor board. We have our main motherboard, and as I say, a couple of nice chips on there, still some value items in there. Need to remove the battery from that. We have our battery, like I say, you can take a little bit of gold that's in here out. I don't mess with them. They're sealed for a reason. I'm not breaking the seal, and we'll just recycle that at the recycling centre. We've got our two little RAM cards. We've got our hard drive, little small hard drive. We've got this other little card. I'm not sure if that's an audio card or a video card, but some sort of little card. Let me know if you know. We've got our disk drive. There will be a couple of small DC motors in there and a little bit of brass as well. You never know, there may be a disc in there, possibly. Who knows? We've got our copper. We've got several pieces of aluminium. That's our aluminium stack. We've got our lovely little Intel chip. We've got our fan. It has a little bit of copper motor in there as well. And then we have a little pile of shred steel sitting there. And that's it, guys. So, let's say that there is some brass to be had from the screw holes in the plastic. We will extract that and take that out as well. So there will be absolutely no metal here going to landfill. We will extract all of that from the plastic before we put that in the waste. But that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. That was a teardown of the Sony laptop. If you enjoyed that video, please hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then please do so. I appreciate all the views, all the support, all the likes, and I enjoy making these videos for you guys as well. So if you enjoyed it, then please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you do, then I'll see you next time on Scrapping Scotland. Bye for now.